one day I see this Lamborghini parked outside, the black one, keys still in, the car running, but no one in the car. I've never done this surgery before. You're going to go into the medical books as if this ever needs to happen again, this is what you do. Yeah, I was good at the sport, but like it wasn't in there. I actually was in the ring with fighting the fight before Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora #1. I'm walking in, I'm like, oh, there's whoever, blah, 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 hello. And then Matthew McConaughey walks through the door, having no direction in my life. I went to a very, very dark place. And one night was a big night for me where, I may not be sitting here today.
Welcome, Chris. Thank you for coming, mate.
Very, very, it's my pleasure to be here, finally.
But yeah, finally, exactly. Long overdue.
Definitely.
So, Chris, we've got actor, we've got boxer, we've got business owner, and then we got back to acting. Where did it all begin for you?
It all began for me probably when I was a kid, about 7, 8 years old. I just, fell in love with acting. And really, I didn't fall in love with acting as much. It was more being a showman and just trying to make people laugh and stuff. And the comedy element to it. I was a little bit of a naughty kid and I was very cheeky. Went through school and church as well, putting on sketches and stuff. And,
That's where you would do most of it, would you?
Yeah, stories of the Bible and that every Sunday after, the main, service would the kids have a presentation for you and we'll make people laugh and stuff, but obviously biblical. But then through school and through my secondary school, it was just all acting. I loved it. I loved acting. It became a passion.
Did you do well in it?
I did. I actually have a really nice sort of how can I put this, award. I got 100% in my GCSE, and I was the first ever to get that in my secondary school, which I got an award in the borough for, my GCSEs, and I went to a theatre school because of that, and we put on a big production in the area and stuff, so it was really good. I was very confident at that time, and that's what I wanted to pursue. I wanted to be an actor at that time.
And was your mum and dad always quite supportive of that?
Yeah, do you know what? To be fair, I've had a really great support from my parents in anything we've ever done. Like all my siblings, whatever we wanted to do in life, they would really kind of support us with it. Mm-hmm. They weren't very forceful with which direction to go in, whatever our passion was. And acting was mine. I was very academic. I used to get very worried with exams. I'd have to have complete silence. And study, and I was very worried about not getting good qualifications or grades.
You always took it quite serious.
Out of all my siblings, when it got to GCSE level and A level, I got the best grades out of my siblings. But then my eldest brother took it much further than me, like university, masters, PhD. I stopped at A levels.
Yeah, really. Yeah, because you've all done really well in some way, shape, or form. To be fair.
Thank you. I hope so.
Yeah. So what was your first acting career or job?
I wanted to be an actor. I done it for A levels theatre, and I got really good grades with that too. But at that time, I sort of wanted to know how the acting world was. So I was a background artist or an extra back in the day. They don't call it that anymore. But I've done some really, really big films like Casino Royale when the plane explodes. I was the guy doing this. Come on, the plane. And then the plane explodes. I've worked with Brittany Murphy, God rest her soul. But she was really lovely at the time, and
that was sad what happened to her.
I was very sad. And when I heard that news, I had a really big crush on her from back in the day, Sister.
She was in 8 Mile as well.
8 Mile, but I was even younger than Clueless. I know this is an old film, but she was so cute. She was really cute in that, and I was very young.
Because what happened with her? Was it her partner that died first, or did?
Do you know what? I'm not 100% sure about her partner, but I know she had some plastic surgery or something, or surgery, I think, and then she took painkillers and that, and I think she passed away in the shower, I believe. I can't remember correctly, but I remember hearing something about that. But yeah, that was really sad. But I've worked with so many big actors, like Paul Rudd, Michelle Pfeiffer.
What was Paul Rudd's?
He was he never really spoke to anyone. It was more again, when you're a background artist or an extra, you're very this and them, us and them. You eat on separate buses. I see it now as an actor. You're told really not to disturb the actors and stuff. But funny enough, as an actor now, I talk to everyone on set. everyone, whoever they are, it doesn't matter. So it was weird because I was once them, and now I'm an actor. I'm on the other side. However, I talk to everyone.
Yeah.
You know?
They're building like healthy relationships.
Yeah, of course. There's nothing. There's no difference between us whatsoever. I just pursued the role of acting, and I caught a role. That's all. But yeah, that was really good. So that's where I kind of learnt the craft of like what happens on set and that the protocol and things like that. But then that's when when I was doing my A-levels and I was doing my theatre studies, I found boxing. But I found boxing late in life.
How old were you?
I was 17 when I walked into a boxing club.
And that's considered late?
Yeah, it's very late. It's an athlete, isn't it? Usually you're like 7 years old when you start something like that, or younger. But
there has been some successful boxers that have started later as well.
Yeah, of course, especially today. Today, that was very old school back in the day, where you start like 6 years old and you have like 50 fights before you get to senior level. But now, because of TV and science and things like that, people can go further quicker.
Right.
Have less fights and things like that. But again, I was late, even though we were a very boxing family. Like, would stay up or go to bed and wake up at 4 or 5 to watch Tyson, Nassim Hamed, Barrera, all these big fights, Holyfield back in the day. I kind of learned the sport very quickly because I'd been watching it growing up. Like, my dad he loves boxing. So
why did you actually choose boxing at that period of time? I know it, obviously you got the influence around you, but knowing that you had a passion for...
Big decision, because again, I'm an all or nothing guy. I believe like yourself.
Yeah.
I was at the one time when I was 17, I was doing my A-levels. I was like boxing and acting, and I fell into boxing because, I started boxing because I had an altercation on the street outside my college. And I felt like it wasn't even a fight. They didn't even there was nothing thrown, but I felt really mugged off, and I felt like I need confidence. I'm a confident guy, but I need conflict resolution confidence, like where I could stand up for myself. And I just felt like he mugged me off in front of a girlfriend at the time. And I went home, and my dad was like, I'm going to take you to a boxing club. And then that's when I went to Haringey Boxing Club in Tottenham. I started and I learned really quickly. Like, I picked it up really, really well, and the coach was really impressed, and he was like, you can fight for us. We'll give you 6 months, you'll have your first fight. And that was it. It was like the spark was born. My dad said he'll support me, whatever I want to do.
What was it like? Do you know what? It's quite funny because you were like, in this kind of like acting environment, it's a completely different environment to a boxing club in Tottenham. What was that like?
It's very different. I mean, acting's a bit of a luxury, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're treated really well and stuff like that. Again, I wasn't really acting too much in terms of like professionally. I was doing more theatre and A-levels. So I never had that luxury lifestyle of an actor yet. I didn't really taste that yet. So when I went to the boxing club and they were like, do you want to fight for us? I was like, well, yeah, I kind of do. It kind of grew on me. I had to say to myself, what do I want to do? Do I want to be an actor, or do I want to be a boxer? Because one night I was doing it's going to made me sound so old, but I was doing a Mick Hucknall music video, and it took, we had to get at 6 a.m. and it finished at 4 a.m. the next day.
Wow,
so it was a long day.
Shit.
Because I was in the scene that they had to film last, I had to stay because of continuity. I'm there. So like my foot was seen. So like, no, you can't leave yet. So I wasn't wrapped. So basically I stayed up late. And then when I went training the next day, I kind of got beaten up a little bit in sparring. Yeah. And I was like, nah, man, I can't do this. I have to choose,
it's one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other. At one stage I was a boxer actor, and then I decided...
It's just too hard to juggle.
Too hard. And then I just said, do you know what? Boxing is a young person's sport. I'm going to give boxing everything. I'm going to turn pro. I'm going to go all the way. And acting, I can always come back to it later in life.
And did you always have that kind of belief from the beginning that you wanted to go the distance with boxing?
Yeah, because why would I want to do anything? Like, why wouldn't I? Like, if I want to, be a business owner, I want the best business in the world. If I want to be a boxer, I want to be a world champion. If I was going to be a footballer, I was going to be playing for a top tier team and, win the World Cup. Yeah, that's my mentality. I want to be the best of the best. Not because of ego, just because I want to achieve something in my life.
Yeah, see how far you can take something.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So what happened? You went straight into being an amateur?
Yeah, so I had no idea about the amateur world. I didn't know how big it was. I just thought you train, and then you turn pro. But there was this whole amateur world that I had no idea about. So I went into it and they're like, okay, you're fighting in this month, whatever. I fought, I won really well. okay, you're fighting in 2 weeks. Okay, soon. Okay, yeah, training for that, fight, win. And I started winning, and racking the wins up. And then for like 2 years as an amateur, I was undefeated, and I was like one of the best in my gym. And, you know, I was going for gold medals, winning them, going to Sweden, winning it. And I just kept winning because I was so dedicated to my sport. And, you know, won the ABAs 2006, you know, and then, and it just, you know, snowballed after that. And then I always said I want to turn pro by the age of 23. I started boxing at 17.
What would you say your toughest amateur fight was? Can you remember it?
Yeah. Well, this is a bit of a weird one. This was in the ABAs the following year. I fought Darren Barker's brother, and it was he had a lot of fights, and he was southpaw as well. I had 14 or 15 fights. He had is the Gary Barker, by the way. He had about 70 fights, and he fought for Repton.
70 fights.
Like, he was brilliant. Like, he was like how maybe, you know, you couldn't touch the guy, and he had perfect range. And I've always remembered to this day, and I lost to him, and it was really upsetting. And I wanted a rematch, as you do and stuff. But sadly, 2 weeks after we fought, he died.
Did he?
He died in a car crash, and God rest his soul. And Darren Barker, man, what a legend he is. He's such a lovely guy. I see Darren now and then. He lives locally, and what a lovely family they were. Well, they are. I remember going to his funeral and everything, and it was just a bit of a weird sadness because I fought the guy.
Yeah, how old would he have been?
Back then, I fought him when I was like, I want to say 20, about 20 years old, around that sort of time. Yeah. He would have been an amazing professional fighter, world champion. I mean, Darren's a very good boxer. He became world champion, and Gary Barker at that time, I think people would say he was on par, if not more technical than his brother. I don't know, but he was a brilliant fighter, and that was sad because I fought the guy, I shared the ring with him, and then 2 weeks later he passes away. So yeah, that was weird. It was a weird thing.
But it's a funny old sport, boxing, isn't it? It's like you can be the safest as you possibly can be, but you got also, it's quite a high risk sport as well.
Of course it is. You're punching someone in the head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, for a living. You know, people say, you know, it's your brain. It's, you know, don't get hit in the head. Footballers get, you know, brain damage or whatever there is from heading a ball. We're doing it every day, sparring. Sparring is where the damage happens, not fights, funny enough, because you're sparring every day with head guards on, and you're taking punches, but you're taking dull punches that don't knock you out, but you can take it for round after round after round after round. And that's why sparring you really need to be careful with, because sparring needs to be controlled.
Yeah.
Can't have too many wars. You know what I mean? Like in a
watch your ego in the.
Of course, yeah. But you have to have a good coach, because a boxer will never turn down a spar, or they never usually do. Or in the next, you'll do another round, and a boxer will be like, because they don't want to turn a fight down. They don't want to look like a pussy or whatever. They want to look a wuss. So they're like, yeah, I'll have another round. But a coach, that's when a good coach needs to step in and be like, no, he's done for today. So then the blame goes onto the coach.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the boxer doesn't need to speak. That's a good coach, someone who looks after the fighter.
Yeah, guides their fighter rather than just letting them go straight to war all the time.
Exactly. You can only have a few wars in your life.
Yeah,
you know? But he was, going back to the question, Gary Barker was probably my toughest amateur fight.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
So what happened? So it was how many amateur fights? Sorry,
I had 40 amateur fights.
About 40.
Yeah, around 35 wins.
35.
But because I went into it late, every single person I fought had more experience than me.
Did they?
You know, yeah. I had like 16 fights, and this Russian had 100 fights. I was fighting in the internationals or in Sweden. I was always put into the best bracket, the best division, open class. You know, you'd be fighting someone with 200 fights. You know,
which is quite incredible, because you would assume that experience, like if they've got 200 fights, they're very well experienced, they're very confident. And
I think the biggest range that I fought, I had, I think, 16 fights, and this Russian came over. I fought in Cyprus, and he had about 120 fights and a lot of knockouts on his record. And thank God I didn't want to know his record before I fought him, because I'm a thinker, and I overthink, and I used to get really nervous and anxious. So they told me after the fight, oh, by the way, he's knocked out like 90 people.
Yeah, really. So what would you do? Would you just try and like avoid knowing certain information about fighters?
I didn't want to know anything about my opponent.
Nothing.
Yeah,
Not
I
even
always
fighting styles or anything.
no.
Like
I left it to my coach.
Okay.
My coach would look at them. Amateur, you don't really get that luxury of knowing how someone fights before you step in the ring with them. You get in the ring, first time you've seen your opponent, and you fight. That's amateur. Like unless it's like a finals or something where you know
Yeah.
you're going to possibly fight someone who's got a bit of a name
established,
and then you'll know. But my coach would be like, listen, we're fighting Repton or we're fighting this club. They're very good. They're very technical. This is the style of fighting. And then I'll just take it from there. And I'll train for it.
Yeah, fair. And who was your coach?
So I was at Haringey Boxing Club my whole amateur career. Chris Hall was my first trainer. He's a professional trainer as well, and he was the one who kind of sparked it all off for me. Brian John is a police club, so it's a police funded club.
Oh, okay.
And Jerry Wilmot, he was an active police officer. So I fought for the police, like essentially, and then it was police versus SAS a few times. So it was like the teams would go up and fight against the SAS.
As well.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm sure that was a good experience.
It was surreal because I fought at Hereford SAS base, and no one was allowed to go in there apart from the fighters because they're all SAS and no one should know who they are in the world, right? Just in case. So we fought in front of just them, and basically it was no one from support for us.
Oh, wow.
It was a completely hostile crowd, like Rocky in Russia.
Yeah.
This was a hostile crowd.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I walked out with a biggest smile on my face. I was walking to the ring with a smile, and some guy went, "What's he smiling about? What's he smiling about?" Yeah, and I was like, I loved being the underdog or about to show people your boy's gonna get in the ring with me, like which what I do, like in a confident way. Because I had a bit of a American style, I never had that British style, and because that's
where did you pick that up?
TV, America, the fights in Las Vegas, Tyson, Roy Jones, Oscar De La Hoya. These fighters are like my favorite fighters.
Because you trained at the Mayweather gym for a while as well.
I did, but previous to that, I was at the Wild Card in LA, and I trained there for a month solid. I had Freddie Roach. The Wild Card is the best, one of the biggest clubs in the world of the name. Freddie Roach is the head coach there. He was Manny Pacquiao's coach. Miguel Cotto, Amir Khan at one stage, like Tyson. He's had a lot. He's about like 25 to 30 world champions. So training there and sparring those guys was like next level. So that was great. But then I picked up that style. Then I trained at the Mayweather gym, picked up their style. I was very good at picking up styles, but it was mainly American and the Hispanic style.
That you were drawn towards.
Not really the British style. I didn't like to get hit. British people don't mind getting hit. Ricky Hatton. Do you know what I mean? That weren't my style. I didn't want to get hit. I didn't want to take a punch to give a punch.
No, because you maneuver.
I'm a mover. My dad always drummed it into my mind. The word was elusive. Be elusive. And I always had that in my mind. Speed, range, outsmarting my opponent more so than out muscling them.
Yeah, I hear that. Did you ever get to meet Mayweather? Or?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, did you?
Meet him.
What was he like?
An interesting individual. He is what he is. He is what you think he's exactly like. He had his Lamborghini parked outside one day, and I was going to sparring. Well, we were driving to the Mayweather gym in Chinatown in Vegas. I was there for a few weeks, so I made friends with all the guys. And then one day I see this Lamborghini parked outside, the black one, the keys still in, the car running, but no one in the car. I'm like, okay. So
should I just take it?
Yeah, well, I was walking in there, and then it's packed. And this is actually just after Mayweather did a little bit of time for whatever he done. And then I said hello to him, and if I could get a photo and stuff like that. And then 50 Cent was there as well.
Oh, when they were friends.
When they were mates. So I was there, and then, it was like a business as usual kind of thing. I was never really starstruck with anyone. I never really have been, because it's my job. I'm a pro boxer as well, like they're colleagues in a way. So I wasn't starstruck, but it was surreal. More so, I think, seeing 50 Cent, because he's a rapper. It's different, but it's a different world, isn't it? Mayweather, I'm like, well, he's a boxer, I'm a boxer. But it was surreal. And, the Mayweather gym was, again, hostile to begin with. They don't know who you are. Everyone wants to spar you.
You got to prove yourself.
100%.
You have to respect.
You have to earn your stripes there. At the end of the day, they call it the doghouse, don't they? And you're sparring. And the first few days, because I had that style of boxing, they weren't expecting it. And I don't know if you know Jake Paul's trainer. One of his trainers is J. Leon Love.
Right.
He boxed for the American team when I was in Romania, and I was boxing for Cyprus. He was boxing for America, and that's where we met. And then I saw him at the Mayweather gym. So I had an ally in there.
Yeah,
and I went, yo, guys, this is Chris, great boxer, da, da, da. I was like, good, I've got a friend in it. Do you know what I mean? And then I earned my stripes, and then I became part of the kind of team,
Family,
the TMT, you know,
Yeah.
which was amazing. And yeah, that was really great. And I picked up a bit more of their stuff.
How did you get into that? Like that opportunity?
My dad picked up the phone and said, look, I've got a welterweight or light welterweight at the time. You know, he wants to come and do some training there, some sparring.
Just literally rang him up.
Yeah, they checked me out and they saw a few fights. We had to send them like a little bit of footage of me sparring. And then he was like, yeah, come down. Cornelius is the kind of the caretaker, the manager of the gym.
Okay.
I think it's Cornelius. I may be wrong. It may not be Cornelius. It may be someone else. But I don't know. It was a long time ago. It may not be Cornelius. It might be something else. It'll come to me. But he invited us down, and then and then it was
the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah, and then I went back again following years.
How long would you normally train out there for?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, not too bad. And
the first time I was staying in one of the hotels on the Strip, the Luxor. So basically, I was living in a hotel of like gambling, and at that time they could smoke and all that, and it was a bit mental, to be honest. I'm walking through with like my sweaty clothes on my big bag, just walking through. I made friends with the staff there. It was like I was like part of the the crew, and, you know what I mean, the staff.
And were you with dad, or were you?
I was with my dad. Yeah. So I was with my dad for the 2 weeks, and you need someone there in your corner. You can't just be there. Otherwise, you could become like cannon fodder. And you know, if you're not feeling it that day, and they get you to spar, and you kind of get like, you know, you don't do your best. You need your trainer there. You need your manager there to like make sure everything's good.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
So what happened? What happens? Is that when you went into becoming a pro?
Yeah, so that was so the wild card was when I was about to turn pro. That's actually when just before I had a bad injury. My last amateur fight, I popped, not to be graphic, but popped the tendon off my bone because it was weak. I had like 4 fights in like 5 days, or maybe more, 5 fights in 5 days or something. I won a gold medal in Sweden, flew back to England, travelled to Liverpool to have the European title, European tournament. Came up against Germany, and I'm winning the fight, and he's southpaw, left-handed, so usually your right hand more. I popped my right hand forward, bang, I hit him right on the forehead, and I felt something pop in my hand, and I didn't think anything of it, didn't feel it. And then I wanted to hit him again with the right hand, and that's when the electric shot just went up my arm. I was like, I've done something. And then I was one-handed. I never had my right hand, which is your main hand, against a left-hander.
Yeah.
And I lost the fight by like 2 points or something ridiculous. And I was so gutted. And then I had to have emergency surgery because my tendon was off the bone. They've never done this surgery before in history. So they were like, this is literally to save your boxing career. Mr. Cohen was my surgeon. And he said, look, I'm going to do this operation for free, which is really kind of him. But he said, the reason I'm doing it as well for free is because I've never done this surgery before. You're going to go into the medical books as if this ever needs to happen again, this is what you do to all the doctors.
You were the first test subject.
Yeah, I was the test subject. Then you see my arm, with the pit, they took photos.
Did they?
See my hand, my arm open, like the wrist.
Yeah.
They put the tendon back on the bone and drilled it through and pinned it to the top of my hand. So you could see a scar at my top. There was a metal pin there. So I could just flex my wrist back up again. And then that kind of saved my boxing career. However, that metal pin caused a lot of problems.
It was always a bit of a weak spot after that.
Yeah, and I always had a weak right hand going. That was before I turned pro. So that I always had a weak right hand going into any fight. And I never told anyone this because they never wanted to be that boxer with excuses. I thought I chose to fight. I didn't need to choose to fight. But because I did, I was like, suck it up and just train and get through it. You know, I didn't want to have that. I didn't want to say, I broke my toe.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And you obviously had a big passion for it because, you know, after an injury like that, you could be like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah,
but you clearly weren't.
Yeah, this hand's been through war. I cut another tendon in my knuckle.
Did you? Would you say that was probably like the hardest part of the whole boxing journey you went on?
Injuries. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first tendon problem on my knuckle was the first injury I had. They actually said I'll never box because I couldn't put my finger back down again after surgery because they shortened my tendon. But then I was like, no, that's not happening. Massaged it every single day, and then I could make a fist. And they were like, well, yeah, you can box now. I was like, cheers. You know what I mean? After telling me my career's over before it started. But then I went back into training, and then that went, and then I went back into training. Then they took the pin out because that was causing me problems. Surgery, back into training. And then the career ending damage or injury was when I broke my bone for the first time I've ever broken a bone.
So you were pro at this point?
I was pro, and my 2 fights previous before my last, the second from my last fight, that's when I broke my hand in the first round against a very, very tough Polish guy, Sleb. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, bless him. I'll have to get it. But he was tough. He was tough. He used to do like 4-rounders with people because no one wanted to do any longer with him because he was such a tough fighter.
Hard hitter,
hard head as well, clearly. And in the first round of that fight, I was with Don Charles. He was my trainer. And I broke my hand in the first round. And I was like, I went back to the corner. I was like, he gets in the ring and he's like, right, you got to do this. I was like, Don, I've broken my hand. And he's like, which one? I said, my right hand.
Use your left.
Yeah. He goes, okay, use your left hand. And I was like, well, I'm carrying on. Okay, we're doing this. So I had to switch it to, get it in my head, like round by, you had to take it round by round. And then he was giving me instructions to do. Don was a really good motivator.
And Don was...
Daniel Dubois.
Trainer.
Yeah, on the weekend. And then Derek Chisora for many years. So Don knows his stuff. He's very good. He's a great trainer.
He's quite like, he really hypes you.
He does. He's a hype man. He's really good. And he was like, come on, you're not leaving today without the title. I don't care. You're going one-handed against this guy. You're better than him. So he was... big like that.
We all need someone like that.
You all need someone like that in your life. But there's one thing that happened in the middle of the fight, which I'll never forget, is 4 years prior to that fight, I was training at the wild card, and in the first spar I had there, I hurt my right hand and I couldn't throw it. And I went back to the corner and Freddie Roach and Jesse Reed, who are amazing trainers, I said, guys, I've hurt my hand. Like, do you want me to carry on? And they were like, of course you carry on. I was like, okay. And it was like, this might happen in a fight. You might be one-handed in a fight. And I always remembered that. And they told me how to be one-handed. Like, what do I do? Go more side on.
Yeah.
Keep your feet moving and use your jab, pop your jab, get the left hooks in when you can. If you're close, snap an uppercut, get back. Like, they're really telling me so technically how to do it.
Because you've got to put a lot of trust in your trainer as well, wouldn't you?
I mean, your trainer's like your second dad.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%. Because, they could lead you down a good path, or, it's probably not... It wouldn't be the first time that they've probably been led down.
Exactly. And they're experienced trainers. They've had world champions. So they've gone through people getting injured in fights and carried on. But then it came back to present day at the time, the title fight, and it all came back to me. And I literally remembered everything they said. And then with Don's help, his guidance and his motivation as well, like together, like I had a strong team to win that title that night. And I won the belt that night after went the distance, and I won on points. One-handed, and then Don gets the mic in the ring. I just want everyone to know he broke his hand in the first round, and everyone in the middle of the fight were like, throw your right hand. I was like, shut up, I can't. But they realized I hurt my hand as well, so I fractured my jaw because I couldn't defend myself. I cracked a rib again. I couldn't defend myself because I couldn't take a punch on my hand or give it.
And you still won the fight.
And I won the fight. Thank God. It was a rocky moment.
I bet it was.
But then I was in hospital until like.
What were you telling yourself? Like when your hands, like, it's almost like the odds are totally against you at this point.
You have a fight in your head at the time because you actually do think. It's not like adrenaline just stops you thinking. You are thinking, and you're like, I cannot believe this. The first time I've ever broken a bone in my life in a title fight. And I was like, do I carry on? And then on the other side of the brain, you're fitter than this guy. You're better than this guy. You're going to win. And then another side comes in. It's like, why did you choose boxing? Why are you here?
Yeah.
And then, it was bad. You're fighting yourself. But then thank God I've always had that heart, never give up. And, the old cheesy, Spartan mentality, but it is what it is. We're warriors, and I won the belt that night and the title, and I never forget it. That fight was an amazing fight, and it showed me that, when things go wrong, I can I can carry on.
Yeah. I mean, what an incredible achievement, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
So then after that, you ended up in surgery at
I never had surgery for that one, but I was in a cast again. And then the Mayweather team called up my dad and was like, we want sparring again. And then I was like, well, I've just come out the cast. Yeah, can't turn that down, so let's do it. And I wasn't really ready. However, remember, you're sparring in America, they make you spar in really big gloves, sometimes 16, sometimes 18s.
18?
Yeah, because it's just protection, no cuts, stuff like that. So when I had those on, I had pillows on my hands. I didn't really feel my hand. But then I boxed that same year, and 8-ounce gloves, or no, I think it was 10-ounce, but I could still feel my hand. Like I could feel the pain of the bone being
on 10-ounce gloves.
10-ounce, and I said to myself, look, I went back to my surgeon, who has had 2 prior surgeries, Mr. Cohen, saved my career many times, and he said, listen, Chris, you're not resting. You've been boxing since you were 17, every day, non-stop. You have to rest. Take time out of boxing.
How many would you literally be boxing every day?
Pretty much.
7 days a week, whether it was
not 7 days, maybe 6. I'd always have like Sundays off to let my body rest, but it was intense.
Yeah, of course it was.
Boxing all the time, not really resting. And he was like, look, if you keep hitting that part, your bone's going to be bent, your knuckle's going to go in more, you're going to feel it, you're not going to heal. So he's like, look, you've got to take a substantial amount of time out of boxing, and I would like, preferably 6 months, maybe to a year.
Is that what he told you?
Said, you gotta really heal
after you put all your chips on the table with this kind of career.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was going through a bit mentally as well, and a lot happened in my boxing career, which sort of cut the passion a little bit, extinguished the fire a little bit.
Are you all right to share what happened? Or
yeah, of course.
Because I know when I was speaking to your brother before, there's always been that little bit of concern that there's a little bit of that they set things up a little bit to favour certain fighters, essentially.
Look, I can't. I'm not going to assume that happened, but it was very weird how one night I boxed, probably the best I've ever boxed in a professional ring. Just got off the plane from the Mayweather camp. Was beautiful. That fight was beautiful. Couldn't have really gone any better, apart from me getting a knockout, which I wish I did now, because the decision was left in the judge's hands.
Where did you fight?
That was Alexandra Palace. And listen, I've got no qualms if he's watching this with Danny Cassius Connor. I've got no qualms with him. We're mates now on the old social media. But that night did change a lot for me, and I boxed out my skin that night. I looked amazing, and the decision didn't go my way. And people, even Johnny Nelson, Spencer Oliver, Sky Sports, American fans were messaging me 5 years later saying I won that fight. It was a really, really, hurtful moment in my life, but I took it graciously, humble in victory, gracious in defeat. And I said, well done to him. And, I thought I won, and a lot of people did. And that night took a lot of passion away from me, because I was like, I could work so hard and still not get the decision. And then people were like, oh, we should have knocked him out. You get in the ring. Danny's a tough guy, He took some big shots that night, and he still was there. And all credit to him. And that's when things changed for me. A lot of passion left my heart for the sport as well, and I carried on.
How old were you at that point?
That's a good question. I think I was about 27, 26,
so
27,
9-10 years in the game. At that point.
Yeah. And it was my 10th fight, and I was still undefeated, and that took away my undefeated record, and it was hurtful. But listen, everything happens for a reason, and now where I am in my life, I love where I am in my life now, and maybe that was meant to happen. Was
that the last time you fought?
No. That was quite a few fights. I actually carried on for quite a few years.
Oh, you did.
But I kind of carried on for the wrong reasons as well. I was trying to keep other people happy. Again, keeping my dad happy and being proud of me.
Yeah.
Andreas, my brother, he's got a really big, effect on me, and him being proud of me too. And we're close in age, and he was boxing as well. So
you was always like pushing each other.
When I said I don't want to box anymore, it was harder to tell my brother Andreas than my dad.
Was it?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
He had a massive guy at me.
Did he? Yeah. You as well. Yeah. because he's got
Big
that
guy,
passion.
isn't he?
He's got that passion
We had a
behind
fat argument that night, that day. I remember it.
Your dad's obviously like a very calm and collective man. So.
Yeah, my dad was upset, obviously, because he was like, why you're so talented and you can go all the way. And I was like, well, do you know what? I don't feel it anymore. I don't want to wake up every day training and then fighting people and then being driven around sparring and fighting people I don't know. And I remember sparring against top opponents or sparring partners. I don't really want to say names out of respect, but like top in the world, like people that fought like Lemachenko and things like that. And I outboxed them in sparring, and people were like, how is Chris outboxing this guy? And I was good at the sport, but like it wasn't in there. And I remember someone saying this once: just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it.
No, that's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think it's that other thing around the fact that someone who's got passion and heart towards something and like the right attitude is will probably go further in life compared to somebody that's just like in it for the wrong reason.
The man that loves walking will walk forever more than the man who loves the destination.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to be world champ, but I fell out of love with the sport of boxing where they could just turn on you, and it's dog eat dog. I didn't really get many phone calls after I retired from people that I made a lot of money for. You know what I mean? They didn't care because I weren't making the money anymore.
Well, yeah, it was almost like once you didn't have serve a purpose to them, they was But then you was kind of done with them probably at the.
Yeah, it would have been nice to get a phone call. Though. Do you know what I mean? Like, hello, how you doing, mate? You all right? How's life? Do you know what? It's okay.
What was your last fight?
My last fight, that was the one in the York Hall. That was after my break my hand. I boxed, I won. So after that whole little mishap of my career where I had the loss and that, I was winning. I went back to winning again, and like on my box rec, it's all green up until I retired. Like I never had the red, and then I was like, I'm getting too many losses here. I'm becoming a journeyman. I want to stop this. Like my record was decent. I never had that power that I had, in sparring in that because I had light gloves on and I did have that injury. However, I could outbox people. I used to outbox people, and I was very fast. Obviously, the flash and blah blah blah, but I never had that power to stop people that I wanted to. But again, and I didn't want to tell them why, because then I've got an injury and then I've got a handicap, and they can capitalize on that.
It's like Floyd though. He just outboxes people all the time.
Well, now he did in his later career. He had brittle hands.
Right. That's what it was.
Well, that's that, and also he was going up in weight, and he never really brought his power up in weight. But no, listen. Again, everything happens for a reason. My last fight, I decided in the ring. I decided this is my last fight. While I was boxing.
Seriously?
And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to show all my skills in this fight, and I done all the Mayweather trick and everything. Got out of the ring. The promoter said, that's the best you've ever boxed. La 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 la. We're going to get you back into the title contention. My dad was like, look, you're 2 fights away from another big title. And I was like,
were you not even tempted in the slightest?
No, man.
Really?
I was when you made the decision like of being done, you're done. I knew I was done.
Yeah, fair.
And then I went into a very dark place.
Didn't you fight at Wembley as well?
3 times.
3 times in Wembley.
Yeah.
And
under Tyson Fury twice. I actually was in the ring with fighting the fight before Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora #1. That was at Wembley Arena.
Really?
10,000 people.
Can you remember the first time you fought there?
Yeah. Well, the first time I fought there was a little bit late in the night, and then I got out, and the atmosphere was okay. There was like half the amount of people, but that Tyson Fury fight with Chisora, that was like max capacity. And I was like, oh my God, I'm walking. I'm like, I see thousands of people watching me. It's weird thinking about it now. I boxed. I had a fight in front of so many people.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
It's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. And listen, I've done it. I loved it. I've had that in my life. I won't change it, the way I've gone in my life, and it's led me to where I am today. This table.
Yeah, it's part of, yeah, exactly.
This podcast. This amazing podcast.
Imagine what's going to happen after the podcast.
I hope so. For you too.
So after you quit, what you said you went into a dark place. What kind of happened there?
Like mentally, like my identity was a boxer. You know, I'm in everyone's phones as Chris Boxer. That's how everyone knew me. So every time I met someone, oh, Chris, when you fighting again? When you fighting again? When you fighting again? There wasn't any how's life? It was, when's your next fight? And it was like, it put me in a really dark place. And then I had I felt like I had no purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and all I knew was boxing. My last grades that I ever did in academic was my A-levels. So like, where do I go from here? Do I just fall into coaching and whatever?
Did it not go? Was it not instant? I'm going straight into acting. Then you had to kind of mentally find that.
I always wanted to become an actor again, but remember, you need money, and acting don't pay at the beginning.
Of course.
So I need to find that somewhere.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to start doing some sort of PTing or some sort of training, because everyone knew me as a boxer. Do you want to train with me? Pad work? Yeah, cool. You know.
Which obviously carried its weight.
Had to. Yeah, of course. I didn't ever. I've never thank God the Lord. This is a problem a lot of PTs have, and I hope this doesn't change. Please, you know, I've never struggled to get clients. Because I've had a name and my boxing career and everything. Thank God, it's like a beautiful problem to have, because I'm too busy sometimes. But I've never had that struggle, and thank God, because I don't know what I would have done otherwise. I would have been bless them, a postman or something, where I just had to just do that job. You know what I mean? Postmen get good money. So
and you're making the best of the cards that you've been dealt with, right?
Exactly.
I think that sometimes I remember going through that myself, where it was, I left a job after 12 years and I fell into that hole myself. And then it was and then I was like, no, do you know what? I'm going to play the cards I've been dealt with. And I maximize the opportunity with that before then using it as an opportunity to start this.
Exactly.
So I do understand how we can get into that world of having a bit of an identity crisis when we don't feel like anything's kind of going for us.
Yeah, and then what do I do? What am I just going to be, again?
Going back to a mediocre life.
Remember, I used to box
wrong
in front of thousands of people. I know, but then it's kind of like I've come down from such a higher glory career to like that. And
which, by the way, some people can settle for, but other people want a lot
weird.
more than
It's
that.
really weird. I remember driving. I wasn't driving at 8 years old, but I was about 8 years old, and I was in I think my mum was driving. I was looking out the window in my area, and I was like, again, in no pretentious way do I say this at all, so please don't think I'm saying this in that way. But I used to say, and this was a young age, I used to say, I really want to be somebody. I don't want to just be going to that shop and just going home and just not being anybody. Like, I want to be somebody. That's what I wanted to be, an actor. And then I became a boxer. And then I was a somebody. I'm on TV. I'm on Sky Sports, prime time TV. And after that Danny Connor fight, Sky Sports. The next night, I went to a Thai restaurant, and people in there was like, "Did you box last night?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they did go, "You won that fight." I was like, "Yeah, I know." And I didn't, and I felt, I love this. I love people recognizing me.
And there shouldn't be any shame around that either, should there? Really? If you want something good in life. And everything you do is with a pure intention, then best of luck to you, right? And the right people should be supporting you.
Of course. And
that journey.
I loved that time of my life, and I loved boxing on such high, cards and things. And I boxed at Wembley on the undercard of Darren Barker as well, and George Groves and big fighters, Tony Bellew, all that.
Did you?
Yeah. So I had some big fighters. Obviously, Tyson Fury is like the biggest one. But going back to what we were saying, just like, I remember the night I chose to be an actor. It's weird. It's not like I kind of faded into it. I remember saying, right, from this moment on, I'm gonna become an actor. And it was weird. I was applying for a job at Sky, and I knew someone kind of in there. And it was going to be a decent job, and for the first time in my life, I was going to be paid a salary. I've never in my life had a paycheck be the same from 1 month to the next in my life.
Oh right. Okay.
I've always been self-employed. I've always been, trainer.
Did you get paid
whatever.
well from boxing, or?
It was okay. I'll go into that after this story, and then I'll tell you exactly what boxing pays. But so I was applying for the job. And I had a decent CV from like the sporting world and creativity, because I used to do my own promo and editing and things like that. Yeah, so that was something I had a good knack for. And I remember I was about to push return to send the CV to my friend to then send on. And I stopped myself and I was like, I don't want to do this. And I actually said to myself, if I could do any career in this world and get paid a decent living from it, what would it be? And straight away I was like, actor. I want to be an actor. And I didn't send the CV that night. Instead, I went to YouTube and I went, how to be an actor. And I literally, I clicked it.
YouTube's brilliant for stuff like
Yeah, and I watched every video on how to be an actor, where to start from, get your headshots, go training. You know, you're not going to get an agent straight away. Like literally, I know. Like that's why I'm very good. I'm very good at helping people who want to be actors become actors or start, because that was me. I researched it, and there was a lady called Wendy Elaine Wright who was on YouTube from America, LA. And she literally had so many videos up, and she gave so much free advice. And I watched every single video that she put out, and that was it. That was the day I started following the acting career.
And then and you just and you had that real passion for it.
Yeah,
I take it.
I found the flame again. I was like, that's where it went.
Yeah.
It was there, but it's for acting, and I haven't looked back.
Was it quite a tough thing to get into?
It is very tough because you don't know where to start. How do you begin? Like, you can't get a job without your experience, and you can't get experience without getting a job to get experience. So you have to kind of do like stuff for free. You have to do like your things for yourself. So I went out there and I got my headshots. So I've got my headshots there, which is kind of a bit backwards. Really, you should just start doing some training, like go to some workshops and learn. Like in anything in life, like boxing, you need to train, right? You need to train to be an actor. You can't just go, hello, I'm an actor on set, and these are my lines. Like you need to train.
Yeah.
So I started doing workshops and stuff as well. I felt like I was a bit too old to go back to school, and I asked a lot of casting directors and people in the game, like, do I need to do a 2-year diploma in acting? Like, and if I did,
then you would have done it fair.
But I didn't do it. I got on the job experience.
You were advised not to.
I was advised. They were like, look, it's changed now, acting. Like, if you want to be an actor, we want like more real people. Like, if there's like ever a fighter, you'll probably get the job because you've been a boxer, so you'll probably act at the best, and you'll look like a fighter. You're not like an actor going, I learned to box. It's not like that. It's
you've lived it, breathed it.
Yeah, and that's sort of like how you start. And I remember for 6 months, I was just on like all these websites applying for acting jobs, and some I got, some I didn't. And then friends were like, oh, Chris, we need a bouncer doing this, or we need this. And I'd go and do it for free. I wouldn't get paid. And then
you were making your money through PT.
I was making my money through PT, exactly. So all the auditions or anything I'd done, I could still do because I was flexible from my job.
Your work.
I couldn't do a 9 to 5. That's why I didn't do the CV, because
you wanted that flexibility in your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cut long story short, after 6 months of doing that, a friend of mine, Lana, said, who I knew from way back in the day when I was like 18, working at LA Fitness, when it was LA Fitness. She's an actress, and she said, Chris, I reached out to her, asked her for some advice, and then the next night she said, Chris, my friend who's an agent has seen your photo of as a boxer. She wants to meet you. I was like, why? She goes, well, she wants maybe to sign you as an actor. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. So when I met my agent, Mandy, and literally she gave it to me real. She was like, Chris, this is the hardest job in the world. I just want you to know that.
For you or her?
For an actor.
Yeah. Because
to get in is so hard. There's millions of people that want to be actors.
Yeah.
You need something different. Your unique selling point is your look. Your boxer, I had a skinhead at the time. You're a boxer. You got, ripped physique. Like, we're going to get you in with commercials like Lucozade, whatever, sports drinks and sports clothes, or anything on TV that's going to be sports related or fighter related.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I said, okay, no problem. She said, well, look, I'll sign you today. This is a contract. Do you want me to sign you? And I was like, yes.
It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, and then that was it. That was the big start of my career. That was the big changing point, because then I got all big auditions, and my first audition was Gillette. Was it? For £34,000. Yeah. And I done it. They wanted a soldier. Again, I've been a boxer. They were like, you're about to go into battle. You're doing this, you're doing that. So then I went, okay, I've done this before. I'm about to go into have a fight. I'm in the changing rooms. How do I feel? So I brought it out. I projected that. And then I remember the casting director stopped and went, have you been a soldier before? I was like, no, I was a boxer. She went, that was a really good audition. And casting directors don't really tend to do that. They're like, okay, thank you, But for her to make a comment was great. And then I got the call back, which was unheard of, my first audition, which I didn't know was hard to get.
That was
like,
I've
got a call back. Thank you, Mandy. She's like, my Mandy was like, no, Chris, you got a call back. That's massive. That's big in your first ever audition. I was like, okay, well, I ain't got the job yet. She's like, it doesn't matter. Anyway, and then after that one, I got penciled for the job. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get £34,000. This is ridiculous. Like, whatever.
On your first stint.
Yeah. And then Mandy's like, Chris, this is brilliant. Getting the job or not, well done. And I didn't get it. I got taken off the pencil. They called it taken off pencil the day before.
Right.
And I didn't get it, but I thought, I'd let Mandy down. And she was like, Chris, listen, people don't get callbacks in the first maybe year of being an actor. And I was really, really happy. And I was really like, wow, I can't believe that. And then I've done another audition, done well, done another. And then it was like, I love this. I love this job. And then I got a few jobs. I landed Samsung, then Heineken. Ironically, because I don't drink, I was promoting Heineken, which paid really well. And one was in Prague, one was in Paris.
So you flew around a bit.
Flew around, and I was like, I could get used to this.
Yeah.
You know?
Was it all paid for as well?
All paid for, of course. Paid for. Then they give you DMs for the day, like to go and spending money. And I was like, okay, you know, that was great. And then that's the year that I landed like my biggest break, which The Gentleman.
Yes.
Which was like Guy Ritchie, and I was like, oh my God, like my favorite director. I'm about to be in his film. So,
what was it like auditioning?
Oh, I loved it. They wanted a boxer.
They just wanted a boxer.
They wanted someone in a boxing club.
Good fit.
Yeah, and then I done the audition, and it was the audition was the scene in the gym where Ernie, Bugsy Malone, is talking to
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, who plays Coach, saying about how we've stolen from a guy called Michael.
Right.
And it was that scene, and I was playing Ernie.
And you tell me now, and Colin Farrell's out, and you tell me this news now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And then he goes, it wasn't from, you know, and then I remember the lines. It was Colin Coach going, you know, it wasn't from a guy called Michael, was it? And then I'm like, F me, Coach, you gypsy.
Yeah.
Crystal Ball.
That's it.
How do you know that? And then I remember the lines for the audition, and then the casting director said, okay, now do some boxing and act the scene. I was like, okay. So I was like pretending I was hitting a bag. And so many times I've done this as a boxer where I've hit a bag and I've been talking, you know, to like my coach or whatever. So I kind of knew how to breathe and talk at the same time. And
okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I'd done that.
It's a skill, is it?
It's hard because you think about it, you've got to do an action, boxing, breathe, get you a bit out of breath and deliver and remember lines and do that. So I was like, well, this was actually quite easy. Not easy, but it was like good for me.
Straightforward enough.
Yeah. And then a week later, I'm in the barber chair. I remember getting my hair cut, and then Mandy calls me. I'm like, hi, Mandy. And she's like, you're a star. I'm like, why? What's happened? And she's like, you got it. You got, back then it was called Tough Guys. You got Tough Guys. You're going to be in the film. I'm like, oh my God. I got emotional.
So what's the context of Tough Guys? Like, tell me what it is.
Tough Guys. So Tough Guys was the original name of the film.
Right.
But sometimes they do that to placeholder the film, and they don't want it to get out yet what it's called.
Okay.
But Tough Guys is like tough, you know, tough boy, innit? Like tough and tough, bit posh. But I don't know why it was changed, but it was changed a couple times, and then it landed on The Gentleman, which I think a lot of people love that name, and that was what it ended up as. Yeah. And it suits the film. You know,
so you got the call, and like she was like,
and then she's like, right, this is where you're playing a guy called Primetime. You're gonna have you're in a gang. You're doing this, you're doing that. You're filming these amount of dates. This is what you're getting paid. This is what you're doing. I was like, whoa, Mandy, I'm getting paid for this. This is like a treat, and I'm getting paid as well. So it was good. It was amazing. That was an amazing moment. And then I sent a little video to my family WhatsApp group.
You know, in the audition, did you have to say those iconic words that you said in the film? You didn't, right?
No, because I wasn't Primetime in the audition. Okay. I was Ernie.
Oh, it was Ernie.
Yeah.
Which one was Ernie?
Ernie is Bugsy Malone.
Oh, it was actually Bugsy Malone's character.
Yeah, so that's Bugsy Malone's character.
They actually had to play for, right?
Yeah, so all us toddlers in the film done the audition, and that was the scene we done as Ernie. Right. So they wanted to see what we're like, and then I became one of the toddlers. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And so how did you feel around it all? So Mandy was obviously really...
Oh, she was so happy. And then I was like, I remember just calling people, like, obviously I couldn't say too much out, but like my immediate family, I was so happy, like, to get the news that I'm in a film, which now knowing that it's such an amazing film and my favorite director, you know, a massive cast, like A-listers, and I'm going to be working with some of the best actors in the world. You know, and it was just an amazing feeling, a big achievement for me.
I bet your family was super proud as well.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, they were. And then I left PTing for like a month around Christmas time, and you know, filmed that and going to set every day. Like literally, I'll tell you this funny story. Little thing happened where you have to wake up early, don't you, to get, because it was a 6 a.m. call. Mercedes is parked outside your house, getting a lift to the studio or wherever you're going. And I was really scared of missing my alarm to not wake up in time. So I went to bed like 11 o'clock. I've set my alarm and I panicked and woke up thinking, oh my God, I saw the time and I saw 5:25 and I was like, oh my God, I've got to do my hair. I've got to do this. I jumped out of bed and I had to blow dry my hair because you can see my hair's curly, yeah? Greek, so I had to blow dry it straight. So I've got my hairdryer out. Blah, blah. I had a housemate at the time and I'm blow drying my hair. I'm thinking it's 5:30 in the morning. I go downstairs, I put the toast in, I look at the time and it's 12:40. I had seen the number 2 as 5.
Did you?
So I had done my hair. My housemate must have been thinking,
good,
what the hell is he doing with the hairdryer
He's
at
keen.
12:30?
He's keen, isn't he?
Yeah. So I had to go to bed with the pillow here, not let it touch my hair. So that's how much I love going to set.
You cared.
Yeah, I didn't even need an alarm clock really, but you know, it's an amazing feeling going to set every day.
I bet it was, yeah. Again,
On my first day on set, I had an audition in the morning. Then I got driven to the Emirates Stadium
So you had an audition in the morning for another opportunity.
for a commercial.
Oh, okay. Now, what was that? How come you had to go to the Emirates?
Because that's where the filming was.
Oh, is that where it was?
Yeah, you know Big Dave? I don't know if you remember the reporter. We kidnap him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
That's at Emirates.
Oh, was that at the Emirates? Yeah. Where his bodyguard knows Kung Fu.
Yeah. Karate or Taekwondo or something. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
flat belt in whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that was our first scene. Yeah.
I literally watched it the other day, so I can
Still
pretty
fresh.
much remember. Yeah, it's all still fresh.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with like these kind of iconic actors and actresses?
Exactly how you'd think. It was just amazing to be in in the same scenes, and sometimes you. So it's a bit weird in a film. You won't meet any of the actors in that film unless they're in the scene with you.
Right.
If they're not in a scene with you, but they're in the film.
It's
You
quite
won't
hard
ever
to
see
meet,
them.
yeah.
Like Lord of the Rings, right? Where you've got, do you remember Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
You got Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli. They're tracking and they're running through
That's
Middle
it.
Earth.
Yeah.
But then you've got Frodo and Sam going
Completely
to
different scenes.
the completely different scenes. So maybe for like a whole year, they never really saw each other.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't be in
Except
the
for
same
when they
scenes
were working.
unless they're in the same scenes or maybe they made friends out there and they went
Right.
for dinner. But usually they wouldn't do that. So
you would have
Guy
worked
Ritchie-
closely with Colin Farrell, with
really.
Bugsy,
Yeah, and the other toddlers. But Guy Ritchie does something a bit different. He does something called, it's not really a table read, it's called a black box rehearsal. So we literally go through the whole film with all the characters in like a studio with black curtains around, and they film it because they want to make sure it all makes sense and it's all mapped out. So that read, I've got to
He was in the room with everyone.
Tottenham Court Road. I went there and I'm walking in. I'm like, oh, there's whoever, blah, blah, blah. Hello. And then Matthew McConaughey walks through the door. I'm like, okay, hello, mate. You all right? Hello. He said hello to everyone.
Yeah.
Then Hugh Grant walks through the door. Hello, mate. You all right? I just, Bugsy Malone. And I'm like, hello, mate, you all right? And he sits next to me, and then me and Bugsy talk. Aaron, we speak a lot, and this is his first film as well. Like, as in, I've done a bit of acting, but this is his actual first acting role. Because he was brought in, as that guy. And and it was just surreal because I'm watching. Oh, and Charlie Hunnam as well.
Charlie Hunnam was here.
And they were there, and we're talking, and then I'm watching these iconic actors, Oscar winners, perform, and I'm like, wow, I'm just in awe of this, And then Guy Ritchie, who's there, you know what I mean? Watching the monitor and, how you doing, mate? You all right? He's really, he's really down to earth guy as well. He talks to you, and he knows I was a boxer, so we spoke a bit about fighting and stuff. But yeah, that was surreal. That was what was unique about Guy Ritchie's approach to his films.
Yeah, and like being in front of all of them actors, like when it was your time to read, did you not
get a bit nervous? Of course,
you
but I mean,
stumbled
I just played me. And Prime Time was pretty much me, boxer, cheeky, whatever. But it was amazing. It wasn't like I was playing something so different that I was really nervous to portray it. Like it was quite close to home. And Guy actually said to us, I didn't want well, someone else said to Guy, or he said to them, I didn't want actors playing fighters. I wanted fighters who are actors.
Right.
Because they walk different, they talk different, they have a different swag about them, they have a different approach. And I understood that because
it's easier to imitate.
Yeah.
Well,
we
exactly
were
who you
being
are.
fighters. We weren't really
Yeah.
acting. I mean, obviously you put on an accent or whatever you're going to do in life, but predominantly you are that character. And that's why it worked really well. Us, the toddlers, you know. I actually posted about the toddlers today on my story saying, you never know, we might make a comeback, you know. Guy,
you ain't been speaking to Guy already, have you?
Don't know about that, but we'll see. No, but if it happens, that'd be amazing.
They're bringing out a series, aren't they?
They are, yeah, TV series.
Yeah.
The Gentleman.
I heard that a little while ago.
Yeah.
To be fair. So what happened? So how long was that stint?
That was about a month worth of filming, just under 3.5 weeks. But one of the best days on set was with Colin Farrell. I was mainly in the scene with him, and I was the one who. I'm a student of life and a student of the craft, and I literally, maybe he gets all the time, but I just went up to him, we were talking on, when they're changing cameras and things like that, I went up to him, I just spoke to him and I said, how did you get into acting? When was your big break? And I asked him all these questions, and he was so insightful, and he gave me so much time, and he told me all about it. His big break was this. He went to LA and he auditioned for Tigerland, which he was a soldier, and someone said to him, the director's going with you. You got the job. And he was like so ecstatic. And that was the start of his acting career.
Where's he from originally?
He's Irish.
He's Irish?
Yeah. He was actually, I think he was a dancer, wasn't he? He was like a folk dancer.
Was he?
Yeah. And then I think he auditioned for, I think it's Boyzone, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. He was going to be in the band, and it never happened. Don't quote me on that. If anyone's watching, please do your research. But I know he was doing something like that. But Tigerland was his big break.
Yeah, fair.
And then he told me about his family, and
Yeah, I think in like the earlier on is the kind of consensus is you just got to do what you can to put yourself in front of the right opportunities, I suppose.
Yeah, of course, especially in the acting world.
Yeah.
There's a fine line in the acting world. As a boxer, it's very different. You go to your coach or you go to your promoter and say, give me a fight. I want to fight. Put me in front of anyone. Which is quite easy to... It's easier to do because it's not a luxury to be a boxer.
Yeah.
You're like, are you sure you want to fight? All right, we'll get you a fight, sell some tickets, blah, blah, blah. We're sorted. You can't really call up a director and go, put me in your film, or cast a director, get me a film, because it's a luxury to be an actor. So many people want to be actors out there. It's a very different approach. And I've got a very thing about crossing the line, being someone who wants to network in a nice way and, talk to people and stuff, and also then being too much of a pushy opportunity, I want it, and be sleazy networking. I really don't like that. So I'm very, very hesitant to ask for stuff. I sort of present myself and I'm like, look, this is what I can do, and then kind of let them tell me, oh, we want you to be in this, or, what I mean? I don't want anything handed to me.
Yeah.
I want to work for
You got to sell yourself and believe.
Yeah, but I want to show myself what I can do.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing for 7 years.
Yeah, fair. And going back to the pay-in in boxing, what was that?
Pay-in boxing, if anyone's watching who wants to be a boxer and you want to know what it pays like, you cannot answer that question with a number. It's how long's a piece of string. It depends how many tickets you sell, your profile, who you are, what you've won, and what you negotiate. Most of the time, 80%, 90% of boxers is a ticket-based system. You sell tickets, you get paid your purse, it's called a purse, whatever, from those tickets.
Right.
Okay, and with whatever promoter you have, if they don't have TV rights, it's usually that's the way it goes. If they have TV, they get paid by Sky Sports, DAZN, Boxer, whatever.
Set fee.
They get paid, okay, to put the show on. So they have more of a budget. So then the boxer that fights for them gets a purse minimum. So let's say they're doing a 4-rounder, they're going to get paid £1,500, let's just say, for argument's sake. Then they sell 100, let's say they sell 10 grand worth of tickets. They'll get 10% of that. So they get £1,000. So in a night, they'll make 2.5 grand. However, you got to remember, they've trained 2.5 months for that.
It's not 2.5 grand, ain't a lot of money for somebody.
But they're not taking 2.5 grand home.
No.
They're taking home, take away 10% for your coach, then take away 25% for your manager. They're taking home 65% of £2,500, and then they got to do their taxes. So at the beginning of your boxing career, usually you have another job until you're earning enough, and the promoter's like, look, we're going to pay you this amount per fight. then you can say, I'm off the tools, I'm off working my day job, I'm going to be focusing on my boxing career.
Right.
Or you're lucky enough to get sponsors. I had a good support. My dad helped as well, and I had sponsors. I sold a lot of tickets, which was good. That helped. So, and I signed with Matchroom at the beginning, one of the biggest promoters in the world.
Yeah.
You know, Eddie Hearn, Barry Hearn, back in the day. And I was selling a lot of tickets. Alexandra Palace, my first fight there, you know, including, so we sold like 700 tickets out and about, and then another however many hundred on the door. So let's say 1,000 people there were for me, which is unheard of from a guy I never, you know, I wasn't famous as a boxer before I was a boxer. So it was good. It was that I got paid better than a lot of others because I was signed with Eddie Hearn, with Matchroom, and they paid me a purse minimum, and then I got ticket money on top, and I got sponsorship money on top. So I was able to make a living of some sort from boxing without having to have another job. Yeah. So that was, I mean, that's it. Sometimes you can fight someone and boxing is one of the only sports where the loser or the guy that's there to kind of get beaten can earn more than the winner and the man of the night.
Explain how so.
Because you pay the opponent who comes in. Yeah, I'll fight Bob Smith, who's the favourite.
These like journeymen,
who's the homeboy. Journeyman, yeah, journeyman. You call them. We're gonna pay you £1,000 for the night. Brilliant. But the boxer, Bob Smith,
relying on
sold
tickets,
150 tickets. So he's paying his opponent out of that 150 tickets
as well.
And then he's probably going to be, and then he's got to pay the house, the promoter, for being on the show. Then he's got to pay himself. He might earn 300 quid from that fight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So can you see how it's very hard at the beginning? So if you want to be a boxer, you've got to say, just like acting, you've got to put the time in, put the work in. Don't think about the money. The money's a byproduct. You've got to earn that. Like, be happy. Be a happy person. Enjoy the journey, like we said. Enjoy the boxing. Enjoy the training.
Yeah.
Win. You know, be safe. Have a good manager. Not cherry picking in a sense where you're avoiding people too much, where you're like, you know, oh, I don't want to fight him. I don't want to lose my record, whatever. But be safe. Be careful with who you fight.
Yeah.
Fight people at the right time when you're ready. Don't be pressured into fighting people. Like, don't care what Twitter says or... do they even call it X now?
X,
Twitter.
yeah. X.
Don't care what anyone says on the internet. Focus on your journey and what your manager says, right? And if you've got a good manager who's got your best interests at heart and a good promoter, you've got to be looked after in boxing. Listen to them. Don't have an ego too much where it's like, no, I want a British title now, but you're not ready. No, I want it now. Fight when you're ready, because trust me, a loss in boxing costs so much.
Were you always quite like obedient to your
yeah, but then I called my dad up one day and I was like, Dad, just give me a title fight, wherever it is, Southern area.
Well, you
whatever.
just knew you
I was
was
like,
ready.
yeah, I'm ready for it, you know. But at the same time, it was a bit of pressure from social media as well. Like, oh, when you're gonna have a title fight? Chill, man. I've had 4 fights. Let me, you know. Amateur to professional is a very big leap. It's a completely different sport sometimes. Now it's closer. Because of amateur rounds and now 3-minute rounds, no head guards. Before it was 4 2-minute rounds and head guards. So and a point system. So you're running a little bit more in amateur boxing, just trying to get points back in the day.
Right.
And then professional boxing, you've got to be strong and stand your ground a little bit. And then you have to have a bit more power. And that was the biggest difference I found. And 3-minute rounds is very different to 2-minute rounds.
Yeah.
That extra minute. Don't anyone say that 3 minutes ain't long enough, because it's a long time in the ring. Yeah.
This is what I was going to say about social media as well. Is that was your community, that was your fan base there. So you got to be careful, because you got to kind of give them what they want without.
I had to
like putting yourself in a high risk situation.
I had to come off Twitter for a while.
Oh, did you?
Because of how horrible it could be, and it really messed up my mental side of things.
Well, so you used to get a lot of hatred.
Instagram was fine. It's like your friends and family follow you and fans, but they don't say too much on there, or they support you. Facebook's mainly your family and close friends. Twitter is anyone and anything can comment. You can be a little, you know, back in there was the egg, which was no profile picture, but have one follower, but say the most disgusting things to you. Like, I remember sitting watching a Disney film with my baby nephew at the time, and someone tweeted saying, like, you know, you're a shit fighter, and you know, burn your house down. It was a former opponent's fan. And I was like, do you know what? I don't want these missiles to land on me, because that's the only way they land is when you read it, right?
Yeah,
you can have 100 good comments, but that one bad comment does affect you.
Why do you think that is?
It's just we're programmed that way.
We look at the negatives rather than the positives.
Yes. If I had a white, a piece of paper, in front of you, and there was a red dot on the piece of paper, and I say, what's on this paper? And you say the red dot, and you're like, okay, but what about the rest of the paper?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because your eyes go to that one little thing, and that's what happens in life. You're a bit more susceptible to negativity than to positive, and that's that. It did affect me. I'm not gonna lie. So then I came off Twitter, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of done with that social media.
Well, I think the other challenge you've got is you've got to have this strong belief system in yourself.
Yeah.
So you can't really allow.
You have to be thick-skinned, and that's what it taught me. And I am a lot more thick-skinned now, especially.
But you also can't allow to be fighting unnecessary battles as well.
Yeah. I did used to reply to some people.
Yeah.
Be like, well, this is my gym. This is my address.
Try
for
to
the gym.
justify yourself.
Yeah, and also here's my gym. Whenever you want to come down and have it, they never did. But I gave the gym address. I was like, let's get in the ring, and then we'll see if you still got the same comment. But then after a while, I stopped.
As you get older, it's just like, there's no point even engaging.
One, you're adding fuel to the fire. Two, you're making them famous.
Yeah.
You're adding to the who's this 458-786 comment, and then you're adding eyes to that.
And then it's like, whose game are you playing?
Yeah.
Are you trying to become that successful boxer, or are you just looking to engage with people that So it's quite easy to get hung up on the wrong things.
Definitely.
But it's probably the best thing you did was actually come off of social media, and then
I came off it for a bit. I had someone look after it for me,
Yeah.
so they can get updates and stuff like that and answer people. And I had a lot of fan mail online, like people.
if you're talking about 1,000 tickets and stuff
yeah,
like that.
Yeah. And I've been in the Greek community as well. I was, the only Greek boxer. Like, I was really high ranked, and then Andreas came on board, and then Team Evangelou. So we were very well known, and we were known in the sport, and we've got a lot of friends still in the sport, and it was a great career. I loved it. I loved my life. I loved my career, and I love where I am today.
What would you say the kind of hardest moment in your life has been up till now? We might have already touched on it, but
finishing my boxing career, and at the same time breaking up with my girlfriend, and at the same time having a family dispute. It was a bit of a family situation, all at the same time. And that's when I went to my darkest. I wasn't in training for months. I looked ill. Like, you'd think I was terminally ill. And coming from looking like this amazing Spartan warrior to a bit like a stick. 'Cause I used to train to put a bit of weight on, and I didn't. And then just going through heartbreak, double heartbreak, because it was family, and there was some family involved, and then having no identity as a boxer, having no vent, having no direction in my life. I went to a very, very dark place, and one night was a big night for me where, I may not be sitting here today.
You got to that dark.
I went that far, and thank God I didn't do what I could have done easily. And it does happen, and I'm not ashamed of it, and I've spoken about this before. It's a really, really bad place to be, but if you can get through it, you can get through anything.
Well, it's quite funny with mental health as well, is it's so rife now, but there's such a kind of there's a bit of an argument around, if you talk about it too much, you're almost emphasising it, but if you don't talk about it at all, there's almost like a stigma there that you're not allowed to.
Well, back then, especially, I was a boxer. So I know. Tough, and I was actually having these problems while I was a boxer as well. So, press conferences, whatever, I couldn't show that vulnerability. I couldn't show that I was going through mental health, and
What did you do? Just bury it?
You had to.
Yeah, most of the time.
I had to. I had a lot of anxiety, that I was dealing with, which doesn't necessarily fully go. You just learn to deal with it when you identify this is anxiety. I know it's here. I can identify it now.
What would you normally do to help yourself with
train?
Yeah, because I have to admit, training really helped me a lot through with anxiety as well. Was that the main thing for you?
Definitely. And then after, some days I'd be training, I'd be buzzing, I'd get that dopamine hit, and I'm like buzzing. I love everyone, and I don't mean training as a boxer. I'm talking about now in my life where it's weight training, or it's things like that. So it could be any sort of training really. But back then when I went through that night, I wasn't really training then at all. I wasn't able to. And then I think the line is the long dark of night, that's called, that when you go to that place where you could have chosen to end things, but you didn't, and you come through it, it's a very powerful moment.
Yeah.
Because you've come
It's
over.
adversity.
It is, and you're literally, that's the bottom. It's the only way's up.
Yeah. If you've got it in you, that is.
Yeah.
Some
which
people.
I hope you do. But if you do, that's what I'm trying to say. If you get through that night, you usually, you're
You come back stronger.
Exactly. And I decided.
Did you have that big urge behind you?
Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not letting this defeat me. I'm not going to let an ex do this or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I started training again. I was like, right, I'm going to the gym every day. Joined the gym, started weight training, getting my physique back, eating well, and pursuing my acting career. And that was a light. My acting career saved my life.
Yeah, did it? Yeah, giving you that purpose
a
again,
new
that
passion, that new passion, a new purpose.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So what happened after? So what's happened after
The Gentleman?
The Gentleman.
So
cheers, mate.
The Gentleman was great, and it took a year before it came out. But in the meantime, I was auditioning for a lot bigger stuff because I had it on my CV, and I was doing bits and pieces. I went to Devon for a month, filmed something there, but then, unfortunately, I hate using this word, but COVID struck. 2020, January 1st, The Gentleman came out, New Year's Day. And I heard 10 a.m. cinemas were packed to see The Gentleman. And I was in Paris at the time, and I was getting calls from people going, Chris, the cinema is rammed to see this film. And it done amazing on the cinema. But then up until like end of January, it came out in America. And it was doing its stint around the world. And it was amazing. And I thought, this is it. This is my big break. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that audition. And then COVID hit, came off the cinema, cinemas closed. But then it went to Amazon. And then because everyone's watching it at home, it done an amazing stint on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
And then it went on Netflix. It had these 3 lifetimes of these releases.
Continuity.
And it was amazing. And the thing is, because of COVID, I had big films and series that I was going to be involved in, which all got cancelled. So then I felt like I had to, and then The Gentleman went cold, being in it. So then I had to kind of feel like I had to start again with it on my CV, which was great, but it was tricky. It was hard.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Because it was almost like a big roadblock, wasn't it? Because it was like, well, what am I meant to do now? I want to do acting.
But in that time of COVID, me and my brother
started
the gym.
The gym.
Just before COVID hit, we put an offer in to buy to get the business.
Was that a no-brainer for you, that starting that business?
Yeah, so me and my brother were looking for about 5-6 years to bring our PT clients together and our boxing names together, Team Evangelou, and it was like a no-brainer really with that. But we were looking at other buildings and stuff, and it literally, serendipity, I believe is the word, a happy accident, where I was looking at a different shop.
Yeah.
And then it sort of, I don't really want to say exactly what happened because they, told me not to ever talk about this, but meetings happened. And then it was it. We had a handshake and we took the shop. And then that was it. It was like, when we got the license, to change it, we went in, gutted it all, got it ready, opened. 5 days later, got closed down because of COVID. And that was the last time COVID was the lockdown. We were closed for 4.5, 5 months, just a coffee shop in Cockfosters.
Oh, is that, could you carry on?
As a coffee shop. The Fit Factory was a coffee shop and a showroom of what's going to come. This is the room that you're going to be training in. And it was only one side. And then we opened May 17th for classes. And then it staggered the opening, and then we became really busy, PTing, classes. The Fit Factory was getting its name out there.
You also got blessed with Next Door as well, didn't you?
And then this was it. And then a few months later, the owners of Next Door said, look, we want to leave. We're giving you first refusal. And then we took that one on, built that. And then that opened in January this year, officially. And then we've been operating as our gym now for 9 months. Really, for as it is now.
So how do you balance everything, juggle everything when you're talking about PTing people, running now a business, following this acting career that you're really passionate about? How do you find those challenges? Because you're getting pulled a bit, aren't you?
Yeah, you do. And again, it's one of those things where it's 100% or nothing kind of mentality. And I had to kind of put that away. I had to say, right, I'm going to give myself a balance now. Exactly what you're saying. Right. So today I'm going to be doing, in between these clients, I'm going to quickly send this email to this agent, or tonight I'm going to do the audition for this thing. So when I get an audition in, usually it's at night time at the end of the day that I do it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the only time I've got free and I don't have to worry about going back to work. Unless it's a deadline, then I have to do it. But I just got to do it. I just have to find the time to do it. Like, yeah, I am running a gym. I am operating that. I'm also PTing. So I'm working in the gym I own. I'm not just the owner hiring PTs, which maybe would have been easier doing that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
but
at some point it might.
Yeah. So change. I am doing that, but then when I get a job or I get an audition, I'm flexible with that. I'm like, I go away for 2 days and film, or however long. I can't say what it is, but I had to go away for 6 weeks, and I got the audition, and I got the job on the Tuesday. I got the role, and then my agent Mandy said, "Chris, they want you in Mexico on Saturday for 6 weeks."
Wow,
I was like,
really?
"But Mandy, I'm building a gym. Like, are you serious?" She's like, "Chris, you have to."
You was at a crossroad?
Not really, because I had to go. I was Andreas, listen.
Well, no, but you can always say no to anything, can't you?
I could have, but I couldn't say no to this role. This is probably going to be the biggest role of my life in a very, very big series, which hopefully comes out soon. And then my brother said, "Listen, go," but it kind of came at the perfect time because the pay was so good, and we still had to pay for so much for the new side of the gym, like equipment
After
and everything.
COVID and everything. The
So
investment.
it was a godsend. I got paid like pretty much the exact amount that we needed to finish the gym.
Wow.
And my brother's sending me bills while I'm in Mexico, and he's like, "Chris, can you just pay this invoice?" Like £5,000. I'm like, "For God's sake!" I didn't sign it that way. I done it from my phone, but I'm not resentful for it. I'm like, "Oh man, this was in my account for 3 hours, and now it's gone out." So but listen, it happened at the exact moment in time. God, the universe, it looked after me that time.
Yeah. Do you know what? Based on what your brother said in the past, even what your dad has, you've had quite a few blessings along your journey, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think we've all had blessings, by the way.
And we've got to identify those as blessings as well, because you've got to celebrate the wins in life, however small, however big, you've got to, because there's not loads around usually. So, you got to do that.
It's having that kind of glass half full mentality.
Yeah.
Seeing the signs and keep pushing forward.
And being positive.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
So you filmed in Mexico for 6 weeks.
Filmed in Mexico for 6 weeks, rehearsing every day, doing that.
How did you find that away from like the family and?
It was amazing, but I was on my own a lot of the time there. So I had to go gym and train, because I had to train for a part, and I actually had to sign a deal. It's called a deal memo. Contract saying I will weigh this amount, I will look like this on this date. So I had a deadline. I was training for a fight. I was basically training for a fight. I was dieting.
I
had to cut weight. And in Mexico there's so much food around, and I was like, oh man, but thank God I had to diet, because I would have got so fat out there, because the food was just everywhere.
I'm sure.
I was in Mexico City. I had a routine. I woke up, went to the gym at 7 a.m, done my thing, came back 8, went rehearsals, which was basically training, coming back 8, going gym again, weight training, coming back, eating, Netflix, bed, repeat.
Really? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And you just had to be fully focused. And you said like you had to be a certain way, you had to look a certain. What way did you have to look?
I had to look like a fighter.
Right.
I can't say too much because I'm in NDAs.
Okay.
But I had to look like a fighter, and literally a certain fighting weight as well. So a division of a box. A fighter. I won't say what it was, but so I had to like a division of a boxer or an MMA fighter, but I had to be that weight category.
Okay.
Or look like that weight category to film, because my opponent in it was the star. He was that weight, so I had to go to his. Oh,
okay. Is that why?
Not to mine, of course.
Yeah, fair.
But it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. It was life changing. Again, going through a breakup at the time, and being 6 weeks apart from each other was difficult, going through that and being alone. And then in the middle of my time there, my nan passed away in London, and really, broke my heart. And it was very, very hard for me out there to kind of like be alone. And then when I got back, it was, things were different. I ended up actually properly breaking up and being single. Oh, and then coming back to a new gym that was open. Had to run that. So it was a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on. It was life-changing experience.
It's quite interesting because we have like these old chapters where we've got to kind of turn the page, and invite something new into our lives, but it's always sometimes a bit
which did happen, and you know, my nan, you know, God rest her soul, I believe she would be proud of me. And when, you know, we were filming that day as well, and they filmed the whole set, done a minute silence for her, and you know, and totally said her name, and it was quite emotional in that, and I had to film an upbeat scene, and you know, whatever it was doing, and the whole set done a minute silence for her. So
that's incredible.
That was a beautiful moment.
Yeah. So what's next for you, Chris?
What's next for me? So I'm in the middle of producing a series, which is a really cool series that it's basically been written for me and a few other actors, exactly like my type of acting that would show me that my best light. And we're in the middle of getting investment for it, and it's going so well on that side, and hopefully we can start filming that early next year. And just waiting. You know, there's a writer's strike going on at the moment in America, which has just ended the writer's strike, but now the actor's strike needs to finish. But there's a lot of productions which are going to.
What's after the acting strike?
The tube strike, London Underground again. I don't know, but you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's about God willing, I'm in the middle of getting, you know, hopefully my visa for America, so I'll be able to film and act and work in America as well. So I'm casting the net wider, and I think I'm taking a few risks in life, but no risk, no reward.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm super excited to see where it all goes.
Thank you.
What I am curious about actually is sooner or later you're going to come to a bit of a crossroad with your kind of.
You have said this to me.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, you know, where it ends up. Yeah.
Look, my brother knows I'm an actor in my heart, and we've always had an understanding of what will happen with our gym. But listen, I am at the gym nearly every day. We graft, we're growing. The Fit Factory is getting its name out there. It's becoming so busy. We've just launched our prep meals now as well. So it's like all the, you know, the food element to it, and that's a whole business in itself.
Yeah.
So we're doing like everything we can. The personal training, we've got amazing trainers, and like I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but we have an amazing team and amazing front of house. Like if you talk to people in the gym, it's like a family.
Yeah.
Not just the staff, but the members and the clients as well. I mean. We've known you 8-9 months.
Yeah.
And
you've
how close are you to everyone at the gym?
100%.
You know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something that might make your day. I don't know if I told you this, but we went out for leaving drinks the other week, and then we were just saying about the members of the gym, that stuff we were talking, and then it was like, who's one of the favourite members of the gym? And like most people said, George podcast.
Don't even
they were like, he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm privileged.
Do you know what I mean? So I thought I'd tell you that.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think the thing I love about your place is I can just relate to a lot of people in your.
Yeah.
Just everyone's got quite a good heart. They're good people.
Yeah. And there's not really. I know we're a gym.
No massive egos.
No, that's what I was going to say. I know we're a gym in Cockfosters, which is, you know, quite upmarket and that, but. Honestly, the members and clients at our gym are so nice. It's always everyone's smiling all the time, and everyone wants to help people. We've created like a little network, a little hub.
You've got to work with some really interesting people as well, haven't you? Like from a clientele point of view, like worked with Yanamize for a long time.
Yanamize is more a friend now than anything. Like, but we met years and years ago, just through the Greek circuit and stuff, and then I started training him about 5-6 years ago. Off and on, and then he's recently come back to the gym, but he's come back as like a friend, not a client sort of thing. And he's very inspirational as well, because you know, I mean, look what he's achieved in his life and that. And you know, when I used to train him, I'd pick his brain. Like all my clients, they've got a job.
Your brother's
my brother's worse than me. You know, he might as well have a meeting with him. Like, you know, if they're in property. So do you pay VAT on this? Or
are we gonna boxing train? Yeah, in a minute.
In a minute, you've got a minute rest. But I want water and dress. So we're very, again, we're students of life, and we always want to learn. But there's been a lot of people in my life that I've trained and had the pleasure of, and it doesn't matter who they are. Like I train kids to people who are famous, to people who want to fight. It doesn't matter. I want to share my knowledge of boxing, and at the same time pursue my passion of acting.
Yeah.
And grow my gym.
No, that's wicked. That's great stuff. Do you know what? I'm definitely excited to see where your next acting
yeah, me too.
job's going to come up, and I'm certainly looking forward to the series that's coming out as well.
Yeah, so I'll look for it. I mean, I'm going to promote it and I'll let you guys know. But it will be hopefully either end of this year or spring next year.
Amazing.
Just because the strikes push things back a little bit. But when that comes out, I think that's going to be a big thing for me. I'm praying it is. And internationally, people will see me. Not just in Britain.
I don't doubt that, mate.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
So,
but I'm wishing you all the best anyway.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming on today, bro. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
And until next time.
Till next time. I'll probably see you tomorrow. So
Yeah.
training.
Definitely.
Go.